and maybe they think they've seen it all. So, get these people together, have them talking and connecting, and obviously enjoying some of the greatest minds in mostly European but worldwide design.
I think the best things like this have happy accidents behind them. It's kind of like a coming together.
I originally studied graphic design, started meddling with UX when it wasn't even really like a thing
Before, and I think that is crazy.
Yeah.
And the quality and the extent that you go to, and the thoughtfulness that you put into everything that you talked about is quite incredible.
In terms of who's coming, obviously my kind of hero, Eric Spiekermann, who I was like studying.
I saw that announced. That's so cool.
I was studying him in the university, and suddenly here he is coming to my little conference. So obviously, for everyone who's in design and graphic design, that's probably interest number one.
What's good, everybody, and welcome back to the brand review by Hyperfocus. Today, we are very honored to have Damian with us. He's traveled from Berlin. He is the founder of the Hatch conference. I have made that mistake of calling it a festival, but we're going to be talking about that a little bit in this video as well. And we are going to be talking about branding at the conference and Damian's approach to branding and developing the whole conference from a design perspective as well. So it's great to have you here.
Thanks for having me. Honored to be here as well.
Cool. So let's jump straight in. First of all, for the people at home
Yes.
who are watching and don't know the Hatch conference and don't know yourself, could you tell us a little bit about the motivation behind the conference, what the conference is all about, and your good self as well?
For sure. So my name is Damian. I run Hatch Conference since 3 years. This is going to be the third year. Hatch is a conference for expert designers, mostly seniors and above, in product, UX, research, a little bit graphic design as well. And it started right after COVID, and the whole purpose of it is to actually bring together people who are in this part of their career where they're quite senior and kind of trying to figure out what's next. And maybe they think they've seen it all. So, get these people together, have them talking and connecting, and obviously enjoying some of the greatest minds in mostly European but worldwide design and UX that we have.
Check it out. And it's happening this year as well. So let's do
Yes.
some plugs before we get into the nitty-gritty of
Yes.
this video.
September 4th to 6th, you can find tickets and information on hatchconference.com. And if you stay until the end of the video, I'll give you a coupon code for a discount.
Oh, very nice. Very, very cool.
You know how this works.
So yeah, yourself, can you tell us a little bit about your background as well? Do you have any design background?
Yes.
You do? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm originally Argentinian. I moved to Berlin over 10 years ago, and I originally studied graphic design, started meddling with UX when it wasn't even really like a thing. Started my first UX job, was kind of without much experience, but no one else could do it. So you just hire a graphic designer to do that kind of stuff, and kind of learned by doing. And, I was privileged enough to be able to move to Berlin and learn in this time where like startup culture was booming and like companies had all this money and resources. And it was really fun. And I worked full time for a few years. And after that, I started freelancing. And with time, I just realized that I wanted to do something of my own. Working together with small teams of founders always kind of motivated me to do something. And Hatch came a little bit out of the blue. We started some meetups for designers, and that continued to evolve. And it just felt like the right next step. And right after the pandemic, when we felt everyone wanted to connect again, we started Hatch with just 150 people, but it was a pretty special first edition. And from then on, just grew.
I think the best things like this have happy accidents behind them. It's kind of like a coming together. I think often you can't really plan this unless you're maybe a big organization, you want to make an impact on something and you strategically say this is going to happen. But I think the best ones, in my opinion, are the ones that come out of a situation and are organic, basically.
For sure. I mean, so I started kind of on my own, and obviously have been lucky enough to come across the right people that started helping out. But to me, it was always the combination of like having enough freedom to see where this goes. Also why the name doesn't have like anything UX or design, because who knows what this is going to be in many years. But for now, at least, the priority was first that it happens, then that it's sustainable and financially sustainable. And after that kind of comes everything else, right? So all the ideas and all the things that we want to do, those two first things have to be first, and then everything else can build on top.
So actually, I'm also very interested where the name, I mean, I know what the name means, but where did it actually come from?
At this point, I kind of forgotten. It was a big it was a big ideation process, but the whole idea was between hatching in terms of like hatching an egg. It's pretty much used in a lot of like entrepreneurial circles, so nothing really creative about that. But I also like the idea of like, Lost, when they had the hatch and this kind of like going inside of this other underground universe kind of thing. So that was kind of the origin for that name. And also, most importantly, something that everyone, even people in Germany, could pronounce without it being like complicated. Either a word that was too hard to pronounce, or a word that was, German, and then some people from abroad couldn't pronounce. So we tried to like mesh those up.
Cool. It's good to know. It's good to know. So that also leads me on to the visual identity. So to stand out today, you need to be, I believe, bold and brave and different. And I think you have a very strong visual identity. And I see that you've also brought some things along with you to show us. But could you tell us a little bit about the motivation, the thought process behind the design, and basically what you have right now?
I think there's part of this that has to do with me coming from a graphic design background and always having worked kind of in print and brand and stuff like that. And suddenly when I moved to digital, having lost that connection with everything. So to me, it's not a big excuse to print stuff. But to me, the brand is like super important, because I feel there is a point where, when you're, especially when you're selling to designers, to me, it's kind of a crime how some other conferences, like maybe older conferences, sometimes just present themselves. And it's kind of a no-brainer. If you actually do something that looks good and you're appealing to designers, they're going to be interested, right? So that's sort of like the number one thing that why I just put so much care to it. And it's so rewarding when you can do it for your own thing and you kind of like full creative control. But at the same time, you do impose your own limitations as to be like, this has to be easy to understand, like easy to grasp the information. Like you're designing like just a banner for a speaker, and you need to have the dates and the website and like all this information. And you're like, but normally you would be the designer being like, I want less stuff because it looks too busy. But now actually you have to make it work. And obviously, for example, this is from the second edition. So one of the things I love the most is to be able to do proper paper. You can do so ASMR. Proper paper programs, and like trying to make people get out of the phones, and it's a simple thing, but when people touch the paper and see like special ink and things like that already kind of elevates the conference without you having to do anything specific. We obviously have like the gift bag with the rings, like, which is kind of the logo of the conference. One of the things I love doing as well that people love are pins. So we had last year pins that went pretty viral. Super cool.
Yeah, they're the hot shit.
One of them spins.
You got them this year as well? You got some?
Yeah, we got some pins this year. Also quite interesting. And I actually have like a brand premiere. I don't want this to fall down. So this will be the bag for 2024. Never before seen. So
nice.
Yeah, we have this beautiful color. That's very hard to find in some fabric, but all in
And also
all,
difficult to print. We're printing some totes at the moment, and actually the full bleed can be tricky, but it looks great.
For sure. Thanks. Yeah, I mean, to me, this is like there's something about the quality of an event that you perceive through everything that is from the visual communication and digital, but also if you arrive somewhere and you get just like shitty plastic or shitty like paper and like you see misprints or badly aligned stuff. We're designers and we care about that stuff,
yes,
so we
absolutely.
won't forgive it.
And I'm also interested. I mean, I asked the obvious question about the name, but the ring. Where does the ring also come from?
It doesn't have like a proper. Like I should find an explanation for it. I was always interested in this kind of.
I was always going to ask you that
looping-
question about the logo.
Yeah, exactly. I was very interested in that kind of the looping concept, and I think also one of the first names that I was spinning with was something around like loops and things like that, and then I was like, hey, that's not really working. But when I first kind of drew the logo, to me, it made sense that it was the ring and Hatch was written inside of the ring. I've kind of abandoned the writing inside the ring now, but it was kind of how it was born. And it's such an abstract but interesting element to play. And with each edition, we just used it in a different way. And I feel it's kind of like limitless and also simple enough that, it's not something so, so difficult to understand.
So how many people are actually behind putting all of this together?
So at the moment, we're 2 people.
That is,
two and a half.
I know you told me this before, and I think that is crazy.
Yeah.
And the quality and the extent that you go to, and the thoughtfulness that you put into everything that you talked about, is quite incredible, to be honest. So that's also one of the reasons I wanted to get you on here, because I think it's testament to a great rollout of design, and the love for the details, I think, is super important, and it's forgotten a lot of the time in other places that I visited and been. So I definitely take my hat off from that perspective as one designer to another.
The great thing is, with time, I've been able to collaborate with all the people that at the beginning they just come to give a hand, and they end up doing a great job, and now they can be people that are working there, kind of like not employed, but at least they get paid and they actually take part of it, and I can already trust them. Everything from like video, photo, like we have Nina, who's like co-curating one of the days now. Clemens, who's always done the emceeing on the stage, but she's also doing production now, and it's like really behind it. I think there's a team of like 12 people that are just like doing a lot of separate things. But the sort of the thread of the year is just me and Clemens as well through the year. Nice.
I also believe that, from my perspective anyway, that you've started to build up quite a following. Like, people really look forward to this, and it's like an event in the scene. Just would also be interested to hear what kind of response you've had. I mean, you're talking with UX designers, and of course, everybody, I hope, would appreciate good design. But UX design also comes from a different perspective. So from the branding, has it resonated? Have people said, this is, it relates to me, it connects?
Yeah, I mean, it's great to, walk around, like going to some events and still seeing people wear the bags proudly, wear the pins everywhere. And that's just like really fantastic, because it really shows, okay, it's not like you're just wearing it on the photos at the conference, you're actually like wearing them on a daily basis. But to me, the most powerful story to that is right at the beginning, the first Hatch, I basically just started putting out all this like graphics and stuff that I was doing on LinkedIn. And that's just how everything grew, and people just seeing, some motion graphics and stuff and thinking like, oh, that looks cool, like I want to go there. But it didn't exist, right? It was all smokes and mirrors. And what I'm always excited to tell people is, like, one of the biggest sponsors we landed just because someone saw one of the graphics and said, like, I want to be in one of those. I want to be part of that,
That's sick,
yeah.
Really,
so
really
you never
nice.
know. And I think as designers, we have this superpower of being able to like make something look so appealing that at least people are going to reach out. Then, there's sales and deals and legal and all that other stuff. But at least for the willingness to do it, it's really great.
Cool. This is the 3rd year now. Is that correct?
Yes.
So what can we expect this year? That's because I see this is a 3rd one, and the design is evolving, the brand is evolving. And we also talked about festival versus conference. And we talked quickly off camera that you mentioned maybe that perception is going to change a bit. Can you tell us a little bit about this
Yeah.
year's
I think
Hatch?
more and more we move into the thought of like a conference is great, and having great speakers is great, but ultimately you have all the knowledge in the world online, so there's no point in just sitting down in a theater for 8 hours. The best speakers in the world, it still gets a little boring. Our attention is not the same. We want to be in a place to connect with other people. So every year we optimize more and more for those connections to happen, especially those who come the 3 days. I think they get the most of it, all the workshops and all the smaller interactions. But this year, first of all, we're making it, I think, the sort of the point in Europe where everyone who's relevant, particularly in product design, to be. We're having incredible guests from all over the world. We're having like a room dedicated for design podcasts, where we're having like UX podcasts, honest talks. We're having DMBA. We're having Patricia also doing Future of UX, and like a bunch of really relevant, interesting podcasts are happening there, which is a new format for us.
Nice.
We think it's
Nice.
super exciting. Yeah. It's as always multi-track, so people get to choose what they see, and they're gonna miss out on stuff. But we record everything and we share everything. And in terms of who's coming, obviously my kind of hero, Eric Spiekermann, who I was like studying.
I saw that announced. That's so cool.
I was studying him in the university, and suddenly he is coming to my little conference. So obviously, for everyone who's in design and graphic design, that's probably interest number one. But we have people from Linear, from Spotify, from Zalando, from smaller studios and companies you might not know, but you gotta check out. And it's really, I think the diversity and the multiple possibilities is what people get excited about. Yeah.
I'm definitely excited about it, and I know the community is excited about it. You're doing a great thing, so please keep doing that. That actually leads me on to my last question. So you've been through this. You're still going through it.
Yeah.
But for all those budding festival conference entrepreneurs out there who are thinking about this huge hill that they have to climb to put something like this on, do you have any tips, any mistakes that you've learned from along the way when it comes to putting something like this together?
Yeah.
From a design, brand, organizational perspective?
I think one of the most important with this type of stuff, and I think in any kind of entrepreneurship, is not to be too precious about what you do, because you're going to have to iterate as you go. Yes, maybe the advantage of being the person internally doing the design and to the outside as well is that I get to, I start at the beginning of the year with an idea of what the brand is, and it has to start and the website has to go live, but that keeps evolving and keeps changing, and by the time the conference gets there is when it's really settled. So it's really being able to showcase the process with the people and just allow yourself to not be perfect on all ends, just so that you really get the most authentic kind of experience for everyone.
Yeah.
And in regards to starting something like that, I think it's, this is a community effort, and for something like this to work, you need a lot of power, minds, not just money. And the best thing you can do is try to start small and get people in, support each other, and also give back as much as you can, and try to make it so it's something that people look forward to, and not just something that they think like, oh, I'm just going because my company's paying, but whatever.
Mm-hmm. Cool, thank you. So if you've watched this video and you're interested,
Yes.
What do people need to know? Where can people get tickets?
Yes.
How can they find out information? And you also mentioned in the beginning, you have a voucher for us as well.
Yeah, I do. So you can get tickets and all the information at hatchconference.com altogether.
And we'll also leave all links and descriptions at the bottom of this video as well.
That's the list of speakers, everything that happens each day. There's so much that I can't even make a video about it, because there's a lot of people, a lot of things happening. Tickets start online, 50 euros, on site, 330. But if you use the voucher Hyperfocus, you get 10% off on any of the tickets.
Excellent.
So yeah, it's a pretty good deal.
Great. I think that's awesome from your side. So thank you very much, and awesome for you guys. So please take advantage of that. If you're in Berlin, or you have the motivation to travel, I highly recommend it.
Not the worst city to visit.
Absolutely not. It's awesome. Absolutely love it. So that just leaves me one thing to say. Thank you very much for traveling over from Berlin today to sit with us in our small, humble studio as well. It's been very entertaining, and thank you also for sitting and listening to us. If you have not like this video if you've liked it. I'm sure you have. There's been lots of interesting stuff this time round. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not subscribed as well. It also continues to help us grow the channel and continue to make content like this. Until the next time, we will see you. Cheers.